Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about the Dior Backstage Face and Body Foundation. It's not a new foundation, it's been out for about 2 years, but I wanted you guys to see it on someone with my complexion. My shade in this is 4 Warm Olive, and just for reference, I'm a MAC NC45. I also have normal to oily skin, slightly acne prone, and traditionally I love a full coverage glam. So I wanted to see if I could take this really natural foundation and have it be natural, but then build it up to a full coverage and see if we like the results. So let's get into it. So to get started with the makeup today, we're going to go with a primer that I haven't used in quite some time, but it is still just as good. And it is the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. So I pumped out a decent amount and I'm just going to sheer it onto the face. I have already moisturized and I have my brows on just to save us all some time. Yeah, I forgot how intensely sticky this is, but with a more sheer foundation that we're going to be testing out today, I thought it would be appropriate because I want it to have some longevity to it. It's also very hot here in Texas, so I need to make sure this is going to stay on. All right, and we are clipping the hair out of the face. Perfect. So now while that has a nice sticky texture to it, we're going to go in with our color corrector. For color correction today, we are going to go in with the LA Girl Pro Conceal, cover up any areas we have a little shadow. This step is mandatory for me, and I try to use a very little amount of product so that I'm not adding on to the layers of foundation or concealer that I'm wearing, but I have to color correct. It is a non-negotiable. Just grabbing my BH Cosmetics brush and buffing that in. God, I forgot how gorgeous and sticky this primer is. Perfect. So now that the face has been color corrected, we're going to go in with our foundation, the star of the show. We are going to go in with the Dior Backstage Face and Body Foundation, and this is in the color 4 Warm Olive. And I've seen people apply this a few different ways, but today we are going to be applying it with our brush. That to me is the most efficient, fast method to apply this foundation. I don't always have time in the mornings to saturate a beauty blender and go in with that, so we're going to go in with our EcoTools brush and get a decent amount of foundation on there. So you can see I've just got a little bit, and we're going to work that over the areas that we have color corrected, which is really the outer edge of the face. Oh my god, this foundation smells so good. I know that fragrance right now is a hot topic and people are either really against it or really for it. For me, it's never bothered me. I'm a fan of fragrance. I'm kind of an old school person where I grew up with my mom wearing Estee Lauder and Lancome, and those things are heavily fragranced. So to me, that fragranced scent with foundations is just synonymous with glamour. So this foundation is sheer to medium coverage. It's buildable. You can use it on the face and body, and it's really comparable to MAC Face and Body and then the Aqua formula from Makeup Forever. Those are two popular formulas that kind of fit into this category. And I freelanced for several years and I worked at a MAC counter for 5 years, and I used face and body only on clients that really wanted a very sheer wash of color. This is your tinted moisturizer girl, or this is your girl who wants to add something into her body makeup routine that looks like skin. I had a lot of bodybuilders or professional cheerleaders that were trying out that wanted something that was going to be waterproof and sweat proof, and that's just one layer. So initially my thoughts are you can still see some scarring, some pigmentation. That's okay. That's not a bad thing by any means, because that's kind of what we want. We don't want our skin to look completely blanked out like a canvas, especially for the summer months. We kind of want to take things a little easier now, and I can still see my freckles right here. I adore this packaging. I just want to take 2 seconds to talk about it. It's a nice, lightweight but thick, sturdy plastic bottle with a gorgeous cap, and it feels luxurious. This is something that I would be excited to pull out of my makeup bag if I was, doing a girls' weekend or getting ready. This is something that I think photographs really beautifully in flat lays, and I actually like this kind of packaging with a little squeeze bottle. Something similar to that is the Cover FX Power Play foundation. It comes in a similar packaging, and I don't mind it. It does not bother me. I'm going to take a little bit more and build up coverage on the outer edges of the face. And normally when I'm trying a foundation, I would try it with the sponge and I would try it with the brush. This is not a new foundation. It's been around for a long time, and there are a lot of reviews on it. For me, I think it was interesting and important for me to review it because I just love full coverage, and trying a more natural foundation is out of the box for me. It's kind of, I'm out of my element a little bit. Okay, so I added a second sheer layer on the areas around the outer edge of the face where I do feel like I have a little bit more hyperpigmentation and scarring, and I think it's beautiful. It just looks like my skin, but better. If you were on a trip or really trying to be low maintenance and you just wanted one product to quickly push all over the skin to kind of neutralize it, if you wanted something to throw on to walk out the house with, this would be it. Pat it onto my forehead and try not to to mess up my soap brows. Okay, unpopular opinion. Soap brows, they look amazing. They take way too long. Maybe I'm just not used to it yet. It's taking me forever to do my brows. It's really, really slowing down my makeup routine. It's kind of annoying me a little. But this does. Overall, this feels just luxurious. The packaging, the fragrance, all of it, and the finish looks really, really natural. This is a your skin but better, healthy, glow, you know, elegant, radiant glamour. Like, I know that sounds really corny the way I described it, but that's really what you are going to get with this formula. For concealer, I wanted to go in with an oldie but a goodie, the NARS Creamy Radiant Concealer. This is in the color Cafe Con Leche. And I want to mix in my new Kosas Revealer Concealer. I did an entire review on this and I will link it right here in the video for you in the eye. But basically this concealer is extremely dewy and beautiful. So first let's go in with our more matte concealer, which is the NARS. And I'm just going to take that and tap it through where I think I have the most hyperpigmentation, which is like really right here. And now for the outer edges of the face, I'm going to take a little bit of that Kosas and tap that right there and kind of connect it to the NARS. And if you notice the way I do concealer, I don't push the concealer straight up underneath the lash line because you're going to perpetuate a lot of creasing there. And if you put on enough concealer slightly below the lash line, as you blend it out, enough will disperse up to that area, but you don't need to really like push it straight up against the lash line. And to blend out the concealer, we're going to go in with my favorite e.l.f. brush right here and then just pat that out. So first impressions, the Dior Face and Body dried down nicely. It's still a little sticky, but I think that's because of the Milk Hydro Grip. It is working really well with my NARS Matte Concealer. And now I'm going to blend out the eyes. They've had a little time to dry. I'm going to take it down my laugh lines. Yeah, the NARS offers like this gorgeous coverage, but the Kosas makes sure that it continues to just look like skin. So it's a good combo, those two. And I just blend out my nose going straight across like this. That is really pretty. It's very natural looking actually, even though I have quite a bit of product on. So now let's go in and set our under eye area with the MAC Studio Finish Powder in NC30. This is something I always do as well. I'm such a stickler. I don't care how sheer the face is. The under eyes have got to be perfect. Just pushing it in and stamping it on with the Real Techniques brush. And to contour the outer edges of the face, we're going to go in with this MAC Shade Palette and grab this color right here and start to just contour the face and warm up the outer edges. I'm not doing a really harsh contour though. I'm literally just adding color and warmth to the outer edge so that we can put some dimension back into our face because it's kind of a little bit of a blank slate right now. And because we didn't set the entire face with a powder, the outer edges are very sticky and they are really grabbing on to that product. And then to bake the under eyes, we're going to go in with the Hourglass Veil Setting Powder. This is not a powder I go to often because it is so finely milled and it's gorgeous. It just has a very specific look and I liken this to like bridal makeup or event makeup. So I'm just taking a flat brush right here and kind of setting that underneath the eyes and looking up and then pushing the powder into any creases or texture we might have right there. I'm just taking a tiny amount of powder. I would use a brush like this for contour if I was going for a more chiseled look, but because we're going for kind of a more soft, diffused summer look, we're just going to use this to apply our baking powder instead of contouring with it. All right, and back in with that same MAC palette, we're going to grab this cooler color right here, mix it in with this warmer color, and kind of take these two, and then go in and start to shape the nose. All right, you guys, the face has come together nicely. So we are gonna go in with the J. Tory Beauty Sassy palette. This palette is one of my favorites. It's probably the palette I use the most. So we're gonna grab this color right here. The colors don't have names, but that's okay because they're all really distinct. They're not like some mass-produced palettes where several of the shades are very similar. I'm just kind of taking a Morphe 200 brush and taking that and pushing this tan color. I would liken it to like a more warm version of Saddle from MAC. Pushing that into the crease, giving us some definition, and I take whatever is left on the brush, push it down the sides of the bridge of my nose, and then I take it past the brow as well just to really warm that up. Now I'm going to grab a more flat Morphe brush. This doesn't have a number on it, but I'm just going to take this and use this to kind of smoke out and smudge out that lower lash line. I love a lower smoky lash line because it's overall creating more depth right here, but then also because it covers up any creases or lines that we have underneath the eye. And that's not because you're tired and that's not because you need filler. That is just your natural anatomy. Your eye has to have skin to bend so that you can blink functionally. So you know, this just kind of conceals that. All right, back in with that Morphe 200 brush, we're going to grab this color right here, which is more of a rich chocolate brown, and we're going to focus that onto the lid in mini circular motions, just buffing that out. I love artistic eye makeup. I love carved out creases and really, really like elaborate eye makeup, but I can't really wear that kind of makeup in the workplace. So I'm gonna grab this vanilla color right here and take that and pat it on this inner 1/3. Really, you guys, this is such a sloppy eye makeup look, but I kind of like it because I kind of just like when lines are like diffused into each other and you can't really tell where one thing starts and one thing stops. It just looks really soft and organic. Back in with that Morphe 200 brush, and we're just gonna blend that vanilla color into the two darker brown colors that we have down. And I'm gonna take this more terracotta brown and then give the crease one last sweep just to warm it all up. A little bit of that terracotta color underneath the eye. For the inner corner right here, we're gonna grab this gorgeous gold champagne color and then take a little bit of that through this inner socket. And then for eyeliner, we are gonna go in with the Persona Cosmetics Plum Liner, and we're gonna just lightly run that through the lower waterline. And I actually don't mind if it smudges into that lower lash line as well. Back in with that flat Morphe brush, and we're just gonna push the smudged liner into that lower lash line. When you push a creamy product into eyeshadow or loose powder or anything that has powdery particles, the powder particles mesh and grab onto that sticky eyeliner and it holds it in place all day. So even though we have a nice, soft, diffused, smudgy look, it's still gonna stay in place. Gorgeous. Okay, so off camera, we are gonna do my mascara because we are doing a week of mascaras to try them out. So I will be right back after the mascara is done. All right, for blush, you guys know I have been obsessed with the e.l.f. Always Spicy Primer Infused Blush. This is what it looks like right here. But I wanted to branch out and get a couple of different colors. So this is the Always Rosy color right here. And you can see that the Always Spicy is just a lot more warm. Always Rosy is like a nice cool toned pink. My favorite brush for this is the Eco Tools one. Taking a little bit of that, and we're just gonna dust that onto the apples. This kind of reminds me of, because it goes on a little bit more darker than it appears in the actual pan, it kind of reminds me of Pinch Me blush from MAC without the shimmer, which is nice. And we're gonna go in with the Danessa Myricks Dew Wet Skin Balm. I don't know what the actual phrase for this is, but I'm just gonna take a little bit with my finger and warm that up and tap that on to the high planes of my face. This is just gonna give our skin a little bit more of a realistic finish, and a little bit of this goes a really long way, and we don't want to disrupt all the powders and the primers and the foundations we put down, so we're just tapping lightly. And then back in with my foundation brush just to tap over that dewy area and push it into the skin and make it look more like skin. Pretty. I'm going to add a little bit of that onto the nose as well. Okay, and for lip, we are going to go in with the Rimmel Zen Zero liner right here and line the lips. We're going to go in with the MAC Smoked Almond Amplified Lip Cream Lipstick. This is such a beautiful rosy terracotta brown, and it's so gorgeous on the lip. And because we're going to be a little excessive, let's go in with the KKW Nude 3 liner and then add this to just the corners. Just to give it a little bit more dimension. And while we're here, let's just throw in a gloss. This is the Milani Ludicrous gloss in the color Teen Spirit. That is a pretty lip combo. So let's get the hair down, let's zoom out, let's get back together and talk about our final thoughts on the Dior Face and Body Backstage Foundation. So I turned down some of the lights because it was altering the way my makeup looked. And when I look at it in person and in natural daylight, it is stunning. On camera, I think it's showing up a little orange, so I'm going to do my best to edit it in a way that produces the most natural looking result. With that being said, I let a few hours pass by from the time that I finished my makeup, uploaded a lot of the footage, and then wanted to come back and film the conclusion. I think that that would be a significant way to tell whether the makeup oxidized, whether it started to move, separate, do anything really weird. And let me tell you guys, I cannot stop staring at my face. I love the way my skin looks. I'm like constantly looking in the monitor, I'm constantly looking in the mirror, and it just looks beautiful. Like, it's just really pretty skin-like foundation. It was buildable, and the shade match for not being able to actually swatch in stores is pretty darn spot on. Also, it dried down really quickly. So with a lot of more sheer formulas, sometimes they can stay a little bit more wet and dewy, but this one dried down rather quickly, creating a very cohesive and efficient makeup routine that anyone could do on a daily basis. Now, I know Dior products are not cheap, but let me tell you that you get what you pay for with this. This has gorgeous, radiant coverage without being overly dewy or greasy. It also played really well with the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. It worked really well with my powder products, my setting products, and then even the Danessa Myricks Wet Dew Balm, which this can be a difficult product to work with if you are not experienced in it. I do feel like my skin looks like skin, but I also feel like all my imperfections are covered. Also, something to note that I didn't address earlier in the video is that I have a breakout right here, and it sat really nicely on the texture without overly accentuating it, adding dimension, depth, or any additional texture to this breakout right here. So anything that really hides my blemishes but provides coverage and is easy to use is an A+ in my book. So I'm going to link this below, and I will catch up with you guys next time. Bye.